Hello, everyone. Welcome to Life Out Loud. I'm Junie Moon, your host, and I'm thrilled you're here. Today's guest is amazing. I can't wait to tell you all about her. But before I do, I want to give you a little peek into who I am and why I have created this platform called Life Out Loud TV. So, I am a certified shadow work facilitator and transformational coach. My mission is to help people get out of their way so that they can express themselves more fully and stop the sabotage and stop all that inner dialogue that makes people feel crummy about themselves. I really want people to soar in their lives. And so I work with individuals, I do workshops all around the country, and you could find me at innercritictamer.com. You can even pick up my ebook there, How to Tame Your Inner Critic. And that's me. I created Life Out Loud because I'm not the only one doing work like this. There's lots of amazing pioneers, transformational leaders, people with big messages, walking their talk and inspiring lots of people. And so today I have an amazing guest and I want to tell you about her. Her name is Maya Coleman, and she is a gifted therapist and relationship life coach, a passionate and down-to-earth workshop presenter, and I can attest to that because I've been in one of her workshops, a powerful and dynamic clinical instructor of mental health professionals, and she's one of only 5 certified master trainers in Imago relationship therapy, which was developed by Harville Hendricks and Helen LaKelly Hunt. She is warm and funny, which you will know soon, knowledgeable and intuitive, which makes for learning that appeals to all styles. In all her work, Maya is a master of creating a safe environment for everyone to look honestly at themselves and others and learn how to take their own next steps in healing and growth. She believes in the potential of people and their capacity for deeper connection and transformation. She holds the vision of each person's best self in a way that helps them live more fully and more consciously in their life, their relationships, and their work. So that is who I have on as a guest today on my show. So welcome,
Oh my
Maya.
goodness. Well, Junie, thank you again so much for giving me this opportunity. And I was telling you that it's the first time I've ever been on an internet thing. So thank you for inviting me, and it's very exciting.
Yes, it's great to have you, and you're doing amazing with all the tech. You know, we start somewhere, we do it, and the reason we do these things is because they have meaning, and you wanted to do this to share your message, and so I'm so grateful that you're here. So before we get into like the nitty gritty of what you want to share with everyone about the work and why you do what you do, I'd like to know a little bit more about your journey. You know, how did you end up working in relationships? What were some of your life experiences that brought you to this point?
Well, I was a therapist, and I had been married to a man for 9 years, and I thought he was the problem because I was unhappy. So
Mm.
I left that relationship and got into a relationship with a woman. And much to my dismay, a few years into that relationship, I began feeling the same unhappiness with her that I'd felt with him.
Mm.
And I began to hear the same complaints from her that I'd heard from him. And so I suddenly realized, oh my God, I think it's not them. I think it's me. In addition to that, I hated, and I want to underline that, seeing couples. I had no idea what I was doing. I
Mm.
would, try to help them, and it felt like I had no tools, I had no skills. And every week they'd come with a new problem. Even if we solved one, there were always more. So I was pretty discouraged, and I sent all my couples to other people. But be careful when you say, like, I'll never see another couple again as long as I live. I think the universe is listening.
Ha ha
So
ha.
a week
Yeah.
later, someone told me about this Oprah show that she was rebroadcasting, which was an Emmy Award winning show that had Harville Hendricks, who is the creator of Imago therapy. And I watched it with great skepticism. And, I was 40 years old. I thought I knew a lot. And it's funny, when you're 66, you realize how little you know. So, but I was very taken by some of the things he said, because by this time, my partner and I were in a pretty serious power struggle. And it was
Mhm.
very helpful for me to hear that this notion that if you're in the power struggle, you're in exactly the right place, that you
Mm.
simply don't know how to read it. And it's not that there's something wrong with the relationship, which is what I had been taught. I think the other thing that when I reflect on it now, that my whole life, from as early as I can remember, relationships were really, really important to me. I had a lot of early losses, and I connected to all the old farmers that lived in our neighborhood in Iowa because there were no kids. And I think even then I was really trying to prove that where there are differences, it's exciting and you can learn things. So I think this journey actually, as I think about it, has been going on my whole life. So
Yep.
that's why I think I landed in this place.
Wow. Very cool. What I love is you had the experience of relationships not working,
Yes.
shifting it to
Right.
somebody else and going, wow, here it is again.
Yeah, the
here,
same thing.
same thing. Maybe it's
Right.
me. And also your reflection on the fact that relationships have always been really important to you. And all of those pieces kind of shaping you and bringing you forward. So so you saw Harville Hendrix, and so what was it that sparked you? What made you go, maybe there's something else here? And how did you then take the next step with that?
Okay. So in addition to loving the notion that, oh, this thing called the power struggle is supposed to happen, it felt really hopeful. He also said that he believed that every couple has everything they need to figure out this drama, which is, of course, the mystery of why you can go from heaven to hell in a very short period of time. Um, and that the therapist wasn't really a therapist, but a coach or a facilitator. And all that we needed to do was actually create a safe place for people to re-encounter themselves and each other.
Yep.
And that really appealed to me because I never felt really, it was more like it was from a place of seeing people as equal and with great strengths rather than from my traditional training, which was about pathology.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what was wrong with people. So I got really excited about being able to focus on the strengths and seeing people as actually embarking, no matter how terrible they looked, that they actually were trying to make something really important happen. And that was very compelling. So I
Yeah.
called the Institute and I said, I want to get trained. And they said, well, you have to go to a workshop first. So I went to a workshop with, I think there were 150 couples in this church in New York with Barbara. And I'd had a lifelong issue around anxiety that was continuing to plague me in the relationship. And I'd been in a million different kinds of therapy and never really been able to resolve it. And it was
Mm-hmm.
in that workshop that I really saw the roadmap to be
Wow.
free. And it was the workshop that really started me on the journey, actually. And then I went into the training program, and it was early. It was 1989. There were only 12 people in this training. And I just fell in love with the ideas. I think I fell in love with him.
Mm.
I felt really excited. And so I, just followed him around everywhere, went to all the workshops and bugged him enough so that when he went to choose, who would be master trainers, he chose me. I mean, first I was a clinical instructor, and that was just apprenticing with him. But then when he went to choose the 5 master trainers, I was one of them.
Wow.
And it's been a long journey. I mean, they moved to New Mexico, he and his wife, Helen, and the master trainers would go out 4 times a year to create theory with him up in the hills. And it was such an incredible honor to be with someone of that kind of caliber and with that kind of intelligence.
Absolutely.
And he's the first person that really helped me know that I was really smart, and really, I consider him my intellectual father. And he's been very generous about letting me put my 2 cents in, from my own observations. So I've trained many therapists. I've been lucky to be on a faculty that now has almost 30 people in it.
Wow.
And Barbara and I continue to do 8 workshops a year and love them as much as we ever have.
Mm.
It's the yearning that everyone has to feel safe, feel connected, feel like they belong and that they're loved. I mean, there's no more.
What else is there?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And so what I'm hearing is this is a model to not only help people in relationship with each other, but that you had anxiety, you had some challenges inside, and that with this work, you actually grew and found some peace within yourself.
Right.
So, people talk about relationships all the time and, this is so hard, this is so difficult. And what I'm hearing is there's such an opportunity here for
Right.
growth together, individually, but together.
That's
So and the fact that you were able to study under him and that this sparked you, I just think it's so phenomenal. I'm going to pause this for a second because the chat room is open for those of you that did not see that yet. Questions are available, are allowed, and I just want to read something from someone. Her name is Judy. My name is Judy from Australia. I love Maya, and I've done some training with Maya last year in the international conference. One question is, how do you look after yourself, keeping yourself from burnout? How do you use Imago therapy for yourself with burnout? So, so the relationship with yourself, how do you use Imago with the relationship with yourself and to not have burnout?
Well, I think first of all, part of the gift of this model is that what you learn is to not be attached to an outcome. And one of the things that gets therapists into trouble is that they think it's their job to fix, or it's their job to make it better. And one of the wonderful things that's happened, I think it's partly because I've done it for so long.
You know what? I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I lost your visual. So, yeah, I don't know what happened, and I don't want you to, I mean, we can keep hearing you, but I would like to see you. So, just trying to get you back, and I don't know why. I'm so sad. Where are you, Maya?
No, I don't know.
I don't know either. You know what? I'm going to keep trying to get you back. So if you could just talk about the relationship with yourself. You didn't touch anything, right?
No, I didn't touch a thing.
Not to blame you.
I didn't touch a thing.
Wait, we need to slow down the conversation here and make it work. But no, go ahead, sweetie. I'm sorry. I'm going to just keep trying to trouble.
There's something. It's so weird because, again, I'm not visual. That's exactly what happened to me in the keynote. Anyway,
okay.
So that's part of it, is to really recognize that your job is to simply be present, to manage your own anxiety in the office, to recognize that they have to take a hold of it, that that the three of you are working together, and that when you sit with them, to know that yes, you are contributing something, but they have to work with you. And I think what really helps me is I do yoga every day, I meditate every day, and I think I've learned how to surrender. And when I can't fix it, I can help you, I can walk along with you. And it's normal for you to be struggling, and I'm here to help you with that, but it's not my job to fix it. So I think I've learned to not take the weight of the world on my shoulders, which is why burnout is less a problem for me. But you absolutely, I learned it the hard way. I got a diagnosis a few years ago, and I really learned through that diagnosis how important it is to really take care of yourself. So I can't stress enough, let go, breathe, soften in your body when you get anxious, learn to manage your own anxiety better.
Yep.
Those are all suggestions. Still not seeing you.
Yeah, I still don't see you. And we can also redo this another time for us to have the visual, but we can hear you, and that's important, and people are here. So sadly, I don't know what happened to your video, but that's okay. You're speaking all the beauty and everything that we want to hear. I'm just sad I don't get to see your face.
Me too.
I know, but maybe you'll show back up, and that'll be exciting.
I have no idea why I disappeared.
Welcome to Tech.
Looking at it, and it says,
do you see yourself?
No.
Yeah.
Well,
I hear you.
It says mute and profile. Should I hit on profile?
Yeah. I'm so scared of losing you. Just don't disappear.
No, I can still hear me, but you're right.
One of the things that you were saying, these are all tools, tools how to communicate with each other, tools how to have self-care, meditate, take it slow. But the one thing that you said that really resonates with me is the surrender. As a shadow worker and for many years, just working.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me now?
No.
Are you serious?
No, we're having.
God.
Yeah.
We're in tech hell.
There we go. Okay, I got you.
Okay, well, I can still hear you.
Great.
So, okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So one of the things as a practitioner and a shadow worker, and having somebody want tools and transformation, in the beginning, I would work so hard because I wanted to take care of them, and I wanted to fix them, and I wanted them to have this amazing experience. And all I hear when I say this is I took on all this responsibility, and it was exhausting.
Yeah.
And it was hard because I was doing it alone, and I felt totally responsible. And that shift for me was when I was able to surrender and say, okay, I'm a vehicle, let me have the download, whether it's spirit or energy, whatever you want to call it, but let me be the vehicle and allow the work to come through and know that it's not my responsibility, that everybody has their own journey and I'm going to support them the best I can. And that's what I'm hearing with you is at some point you shifted and you're like, okay, let me not hold the world on my shoulders, but let me just show up for these people and be their guide. That's what I'm hearing you say. Would you say that is?
That's true. It's the balance between really knowing what you know, but also recognizing that with humility that there's only so much. I mean, it's the old thing. There's only so much you can control.
Yeah.
Which has been a lifelong important lesson for me. So I've noticed myself in the office breathing regularly, being really aware of my breath, feeling my feet on the floor, of constantly, and I think that's a really good point too, feeling myself held by something much bigger than me.
Yep.
And being, and it's not so much about coming up with the right answer. It's just really being present in relationship. And my experience is when I can do that, I'm enriched by the couples, they're enriched by me, and I have very little burnout. But it's a process. And I've been doing this for 26 years.
Yep.
And it's been a journey for sure.
Beautiful. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
So let me go to the chat room for a second. Yaj, formerly known as Amy Sherman, to you. Hi, y'all. It's Yaj. I am a certified Imago relationship therapist and have attended training workshops with Maya as well as assisted her in one of her couples weekend workshops. And she is one of my role models, elegant, brilliant, real, warm, intuitive, and fabulous. And I still quote her to clients and friends regularly. Judy said, fabulous. Thank you so much to your answer. And Yaj has a question, how to address sexual issues in a relationship when Imago dialogue is not enough. Do you want to talk about that right now? Because we haven't really talked about Imago yet. Or do you want to go there? I'm just going to,
Why don't we wait? I don't want to put Amy off, but remember the question and I'm reassuring you, Amy, that I will get to it.
All right. Or she said how to dialogue to address sexual tips, suggestions. So one of the things I wanted to ask you was the whole idea about committed relationships. What do you think is the purpose to be in a committed relationship?
Well, I think many of us have the wrong idea, which is that our partner is there to meet our needs. But there's a secret, actually, that no one wants to know about, which is that actually committed love relationships are there to help us finish unfinished childhood business and grow up so that we can contribute to the world that needs us so badly. Little kids that have no impulse control, they can't contribute. So it's really, instead of your partner's job being to meet your needs, their job is to shine a beacon on the places where you are broken and need to grow and get healed. So I think that's that's what I think a committed relationship is, because no one will know you like the person you live with. No one will really be able to see you in the same way because they don't live with you. And so, and instead of fighting that, it's really important to find a way to embrace it, that it's an opportunity, a really important opportunity.
Yeah.
It's not the only way, I don't think, to finish unfinished childhood business, but it's the most efficient way. Not always the easiest, but certainly the most efficient.
Yep. I hear you. And a lot of what I do is what you're talking about. And I always say, when you're in relationship with someone, if you can create a very safe container, I create the safe container with my clients, but if you can create a safe container with your partner, it speeds it up because they do know you. And if you could feel love in the midst of feeling uncomfortable, then I think it opens us up to such deep healing. And people sometimes look at relationships as difficult and drama and hard, and just with what you just said, if we're bringing our past stuff up, and if my little girl is having a tantrum to my partner's little boy, it can get a little messy and feel uncomfortable. So how do you talk to people that are just starting out and wondering, how do we do this so it's not so painful? How do I heal with my partner when it feels so scary and hard? And maybe segue into what this Imago thing is.
Right. I think, first of all, I think it's really important to learn to regulate yourself as well as co-regulate with your partner. So that's one. But I think the most important message that I give to new clients is that this power struggle is a normal and natural thing, and it doesn't feel good right now. And one of the problems, I think, that I might not say this in the first session, but I'll say it to you, I think particularly in this country, we equate success with feeling good all the time. And we don't have the muscle to recognize that life is about being able to hold the balance between joy and sorrow, and be able to be with those feelings and actually make connection with others when you're having those feelings rather than rupturing connection.
Yep.
And so I think the really important piece is that you don't expect it to tickle. You know, recognize that success is actually being able to be with whatever happens and go toward relationship. I mean, that is the most important lesson as human beings that we're supposed to learn when we're kids, and oftentimes we don't because our parents don't teach us. But it's such an important thing to recognize when I'm in pain, there's nothing wrong with me or nothing wrong with my partner. I'm just feeling something and I need to be with it. And when we can do that, we crack our hearts open, we live with more aliveness, we live with more joy. Yeah, you took a breath. That's right. There's a sense of relief we don't have to hold. And I often will say to people, you know, the only difference between Barbara's and my relationship and yours, really, is that we don't take our upsets seriously. They're just an opportunity. And they don't mean anything bad about me or her or the two of us. It's simply, wow, this is interesting. Oh.
Ah! Someone's calling you to say that you're not on video.
I think so. They probably are.
If it's Oprah, answer it.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't Oprah. Anyway, so I think it's really, and you know, you have to meet people where they are when they first come to your office.
Yeah.
And so I make a point of really, I want to give them a different experience. So that's where the Imago skill set comes in. Mm-hmm. But I also need to meet them where they are. And if they're in a lot of distress, I need to be the one holding the space until such time as they're able to actually really find their way back to each other. But I'm amazed at how little time that takes. Mm. And one of the things I do right away is I ask them to look at the strengths of their relationship. And even the most upset people can do that. But anyway, the thing about the Imago skill set is it's just a way of talking and listening.
Yep.
It's a way of slowing down so people can actually re-experience each other. Mm-hmm. And it's simply a skill of talking and listening, because we as human beings use language to connect.
Yep.
And oftentimes the way we use language is disconnecting.
Yeah, beautiful. And I did take a workshop with you, and I resonated so much with what you were sharing. In the model of work that I use, we call it clean talk, and there's a big overlap.
Yes.
So much of it is really being able to take responsibility for what we're feeling without pointing the finger and making the other person wrong, and to be able to be present, to be able to deeply listen to the other person without thinking of what you want to say next, to be able to receive the other person in their share, and to connect heart to heart, breath to breath. And by doing that, we slow down. And when we can really hear each other and share from our hearts, things just change. And as you read my blog yesterday and I sent it out, you know, I'm seeing somebody new, and he keeps saying to me, when are we going to have our first fight? I wonder what that's going to be like. And I always laugh, because I'm like, we already had our first fight. He's like, what do you mean? And I laugh. I'm like, remember when that thing happened? And I said, you know, I'm feeling this when you did this, and this is what goes on inside of me because of my past, and this is what I really want to have happen. And you said, wow, thank you for communicating. That's what that is. You know?
Exactly right. And what you did, which is what most of us don't know how to do, which is you went vulnerable and you talked about yourself. And I want to say again, the biggest stumbling block is that people literally do not know how to sit with what they're feeling. That because no one helped them as a child, they think it's the other person is the problem, but actually it's me that's having the feeling, me that's having the reaction. And if I didn't have somebody big to hold the space with me when I was little, my feelings felt dangerous. They felt like I was going to blow apart or I was going to die.
Yep.
When we have difficult feelings, what we do is we push away. We either attack by saying things that are really difficult, or we withdraw. But both of those mechanisms really are about a way to try to escape our own internal experience. So a lot of this work is about working to find home inside yourself and doing it in relationship when you can. And I want to say one other thing about this theory, which is it's so much more than just something for couples. It's really about how we are wired for connection, and whatever whatever circumstance you find yourself in, to really find the ways to, as you said, get the barriers out of the way so you can experience connection. And it's actually, I see it as really being able to live with the terror that you live with a different person, that you live with somebody who doesn't see the world the way you do. And instead of trying to make them wrong and you right, actually being able to sit with that fear. And it's really the basis of all the pain in the world. I mean, what are people fighting about? They're afraid of each other. They're afraid of difference. They're afraid of what they're feeling, and they go on the attack.
Yep.
That makes sense?
It totally makes sense. And it just keeps coming back to, can we be comfortable inside ourselves and be able to know ourselves so that we can actually share who we are? And we weren't taught that. We weren't given those skills as a child. And at the end of the day, we want to feel safe. We want to feel loved. We want to fit in. And a lot of us are still acting out of our little girls and little boys that didn't know what was going on, and our terror of, oh, something bad is happening and how do I manage it? And
Right.
so thankfully there are tools to help people slow down, like what you're talking about, to really relax into that and to be able to touch deeply into who we are, to really feel inside. Most people don't know how to do that. And they instantly go into, well, you did this or you said this, and that's why I'm angry, you know? But underneath, if you look under what's under the anger, it's, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I'm feeling unloved, when this happened. And so, helping people to look at each other and to hold that space with each other, I mean, it's golden. And then by being able to go inside ourselves, not only do we get deep connection with somebody else because we're sharing, but we have such deep connection to ourselves. I'm curious what you think the job is of the person that you're in relationship with. If you were to, to say, what is the responsibility or the job of your significant other in this
Good question. Well, I would say it's the responsibility of both people. It is to be really to care about the other person's deepest wishes, deepest longings. And it's never about, and to learn to say yes when you mean yes, and to say no with love.
Yeah.
So that means basically that you care about what the person wants. You listen, you're curious about it. You know that it has in it something that will help you grow, but you also have a choice. You have a choice. Maybe it's not your time, and you can say with love, everything you want is completely legitimate. I totally get it, and I'm just not there yet. I'll keep it in my mind, because the problem is, what we do is we feel badly when our partners are unhappy with us. So and we feel like, oh, I've done something wrong. We just jump right to anger, but underneath it, it's that. And so we shame them for wanting something, make them wrong, or we say yes when we mean no, and then don't do the thing we've promised.
Right.
So the responsibility is really to really care and be interested in their experience. But our job, and this is, I think, and I really do think that once we're adults, no one really is supposed to give us everything we want, or that doesn't work for me. I think once we're adults, it's too bad you didn't get it as a kid. But when you're an adult, you need to work in partnership. And the best way to do that is to look at your own contribution to the nightmare, to keep yourself on this side of the fence. And when you do that, you're much more likely to make a relationship where both people feel cared for, loved, safe. But I think we tend to focus on what's their responsibility with me rather than what am I responsible for. And I really want to for me, that's made a big difference. The old JFK, John F. Kennedy thing of, don't ask your country what it can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Because I think if you only have control over you.
Yeah.
You can't control another person. And you spend a lifetime learning that very difficult lesson, most of us. So it's really being and the words that I say over and over again from my own life, kindness and tenderness. To lead with kindness and tenderness and recognize, and I don't, even if you're with somebody who's really difficult, when you step back and you see them from a place of compassion and set good boundaries, they can't run their whatever it is they're doing that's so disturbing to you. So, and it's also really helpful to think, what kind of person do I want to show up as?
Yep.
What would make me feel like I'm being the best person and the best me I can be? Make a list of qualities, practice doing them. And at the end of the day, whether people can respond or not, you know that you have done what you needed to do and can feel really good about being the person that is fighting for love, or whatever you want to say.
Absolutely. That was just great. There are a couple of things that really pop out that are just so beautiful. The whole think about coming to the relationship with loving eyes and a loving heart and wanting the best for your partner.
Right.
And that is what we would hope to aspire to be like, right? And then there's the self-awareness part and doing our own personal work, because sometimes even intellectually, yes, I want to be the best I can be and hold that space with the most loving, open heart that I can. But if inside I'm going, I feel scared, I feel alone, it's like that's where we have to have deep self-awareness too, right. And then be able to talk about it. Right. And then that's the dance. And like you said, if you got everything you wanted, to me, if we got everything we wanted, we wouldn't be growing. And right. That's the beauty of the relationships is, when we have those bumps, that's when we get to go, okay, how do I work with this? What is this teaching me, showing me? How do I step up? And again, in that safe container. So beautiful points. I have Stephen here saying, hi, Maya. How do you reply to couples who say they don't believe their childhood learning histories have any bearing on their current relational problems? Good question.
Great question. Well, as far as I'm concerned, you can just, if you get them to be vulnerable with each other, which means it has nothing to do with childhood, but if you get them out of shame, blame, criticism, fight, anger, frustration, and move them into fear and hurt and disappointment and helplessness and powerlessness and inadequacy, if they can speak the language of vulnerability, that's all it takes. And my experience is when they see how powerful that is and they are there for a while, and you just ask them to think for a moment about does this remind you of anything? You need to hold it very lightly, but they'll go there. But if people say it has nothing to do with my childhood, I'll say, okay, great. Well, let's look at what's happening right here, right now.
Yep.
I know your intention is to feel close to your partner, and I want you to be aware of what your face looks like, how you're holding your body, how you're speaking. What do you imagine? What do you need to do right in this moment to make the connection that you long for? And forget about the childhood. And so I think it's really teaching them vulnerable language is the most important thing. And there are many reasons about why childhood can be helpful. One of them is it helps the partner see the other partner's vulnerability. But you can do that without ever having to go to childhood if you help them understand that in this office, we don't talk about secondary emotions. We talk about primary emotions. And that's where people connect.
Great. And then when you talk about vulnerability, I mean, the safer we feel, the more we're able to show, our underbelly, the more we can reveal. Right. And again, the more we work with each other and suddenly, kind of sniff each other out and go, okay, when I said this, it didn't, blow up in my face. I mean, I think there's the journey, the unfolding. And in the work that you do, you allow people to suddenly go, wow, I actually can be heard. I can speak without being interrupted. I can really feel and share what's going on inside of me. And then that just kind of just keeps going because it feels good. It feels good to share our hearts.
Right.
We have another question here. We got some people all over the place. Noreen in Portland.
Noreen, my good friend.
Yay! Welcome, Noreen. Would you address strategies to get the couple to use the dialogue tools outside of sessions? So how do people take this work, this safe container that you're creating, and be able to do it at home when the shit hits the fan and you're not there?
Well, you have to work with it. This is where the life coaching has been really, really helpful to me, because there are two things. One of the most surefire ways to do it, if you can, is to do a home visit. That has always been a huge help, which means you go and you do the therapy in their home and you set up a therapy place. Sorry. And you set up a actual space, and that actually sort of, it brings it into the space. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It makes
The
a
other
lot
thing
of sense.
is
That's great.
give them a safe word, which is where they together come up with a safe word. You don't give it to them.
Yep.
Where they don't, and they don't talk unless when they're really upset, until they've calmed down. And then you encourage them. And the simplest way is, if you can't really do a dialogue, just put a mirror in between your conversation with each other once you've calmed down.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what Noreen is highlighting is the resistance to the dialogue, and the resistance to doing it at home is because even though we desperately want to be intimate and close, it also terrifies us.
Sure.
And so to step into that space voluntarily when you're not in someone's office paying for it. And so I think you need to talk about that, and you need to say, I'm not going to come and police your house, but think about how you might be getting in the way of you having what you say you want, and be aware of it and voice it at home.
Yep.
So there are many strategies of, recently, this has made a difference, is I've had people bring earphones into the office with their favorite songs,
Mm-hmm.
and listen to their songs to kind of regulate themselves. And they have found that when they do that at home, it encourages them more to move into doing the dialogue. The other thing that I want to say, though, for those of you who are Imago or therapists, let go of an attachment to them doing it at home. What is more important to me at some level is, are they able to actually have the spirit of the dialogue at home?
Mm-hmm.
Are they able to be kind and gentle with each other? And if that's already a huge deal when people are in trouble. Can they take some of the spirit some of the time? And try to remember it's a process. It takes people a long time.
It's a journey. I mean, we have to realize that it's a journey, and we're both coming to the table with our pasts and with our experiences, and that we will be triggering each other. That's our job, for personal growth work. But that there is this journey, that that whole intimacy to be able to allow each other to really start to know each other in a different way. And by slowing things down and really listening, that gentleness, that caring, I think that's beautiful. That's where you start, and then the rest follows.
But I also say one more thing, which is,
absolutely.
Again, for people working with people, let go of your attachment to an outcome. Some people won't get there right at this time. Maybe they'll get there another time. Your job is simply just try to see that your job of introducing them to this set of ideas, maybe in 10 years, they'll wake up one morning and say, oh, I remember that this therapist said, and maybe in that moment they're able to do it. But I think it's again, that combination of knowing your competence, but also knowing your limits. How much can you really, what can you really do?
Yep. Yeah. And, yeah, exactly.
Everyone has to decide for themselves.
Yeah.
Everyone is on their own path.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What if only one person in the relationship says, like, you have two people there and one's kind of, signing up for the program and is listening and present, but you have somebody that's really resistant. Seems like they want to be in it, seems like they want to have connection, but they're just really resistant. I'm curious, how does can you work with one person with Imago therapy?
There are two different questions. The first one is, if someone doesn't come into the office with their partner, you absolutely can work with that one person to see what they're doing to contribute to the nightmare, so they begin to do something different. Because when they change the dance, when they change their behavior, the dance changes.
Exactly.
And what I want to say about the second part of it, if both people are in the room, I think what you have to look at the relationship as a deal. And actually, the person who's most resistant you think is most resistant is often, once you help them feel safe by creating a place, they actually show up as really wanting to do it, and it's the other person that gets resistant. So I think absolutely, I do it all the time. There's always somebody who shows, they all show up the first time with one person really pushing and the other person, you know, with their heels dug into the cement outside my door. And it's really not being hooked by that, but recognizing that is part of the dynamic.
Yep.
And that when you make it safe enough for the person who doesn't want to be there to voice that they don't want to be there, to recognize how terrifying it is, to be heard about that, suddenly the other person, and they feel safe and they start coming forward, the other person starts backing up. So, and it happens at the workshop all the time, because almost always, at least in the straight workshops, the women are dragging the men, right? And the men catch on to it really, really fast.
Mm-hmm.
They because there's a lot of they really cognitively understand it. And the women get really anxious because suddenly they're so enthusiastic.
Yes.
They find themselves in this role of, oh my God, what happened to him?
Exactly.
So I would, I think, don't be fooled.
Yep, absolutely. I say that often to my clients, especially in the beginning when they have a lot of resistance. I say, awesome, that's where so much is going to happen, because working with the resistance, finding out what that really is underneath it. I mean, it's just fear. It's a part of us. We call it the risk manager in shadow work. There's a part of it's like, I'm not so sure about this, and I'm putting up some big walls, sister. And then I'm like, great. We do part playing. So, let me talk to the part that's like, I'm not letting her go anywhere near you. And then, of course, as soon as there's safety, as soon as there's like, oh, is this, I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. And oh, I really can share in this way, and I'm not going to get hurt. Everything opens up. But I love what you're saying about, so then one person's resistance lowers, and then the next person's going like, whoa, things are changing. And I mean, we keep getting tapped. And again, that's the beauty of relationships. I'm noticing the time. I cannot believe it. I have people in the chat. This is like so exciting, and no video, but we're rocking, and we're running out of time. We're going to have you back again with video. But before we move into any other direction, you wanted to share with the people watching an opportunity about your coaching. So would you like to tell them a little bit about what you'd like to offer them?
Yes, I'm moving in the direction of coaching, but I'm coaching more individuals than couples. So my offering is to offer a 60-minute coaching session just as an introduction, and it's free. And just so you can get a sense of what relationship coaching looks like when it's done with one person. I'm still going to be doing my work in my office, but I'm starting this new business called Flying Without Wings. And just really, how can you fly? How can you find your true essence so that you can shine? It will probably eventually be morphing into more couples work, but right now I'm just targeting individuals. And I have only 10 slots, so I want to encourage people to sign up for those 10 slots. And the only caveat is that I'm going to be gone for a couple of weeks, but I'll be back. So I wanted to put that out there.
Beautiful. And I put up her email in the chat, but for those of you watching the replay, sometimes that doesn't show. Technology, guys. And so you could write Maya at Maya Imago, IMAGO, at AOL.com. MayaImago@AOL.com. And I see that there were other questions, and we're actually at time. So what I would really encourage y'all to do, if you want to know the answers to that, is to write Maya and connect with her, and maybe even have one of these sessions with her so that you can dive deeper. I just wish we could keep going, but we are literally at time. So I want to honor our time commitment. I know. I mean, my God. But I'm going to honor our time commitment. We can certainly keep going. Maya, I'm sad that the video cut out somehow, but we heard you clearly and beautifully, and I'm happy to have you back again and with video, and we'll figure that out. It's crazy how these things happen. You've been an amazing guest. Thank you so much for being here.
You, Judy. It was a lot of fun, and hello to all those people who signed in, and I wish I could see all your faces.
I know we had a lot. We had 35 people here live, which is actually a really large turnout for Tuesday afternoon. And well, Tuesday afternoon for us, people all over the world here. So anyway, thanks so much. Again, thanks everyone for being here, Life Out Loud. More episodes coming with some pretty amazing people. So stay tuned. You'll be getting notified through email about some of the upcoming events. And again, innercritictamer.com is my website if you'd like to know more about shadow work and the work that I do. And that's it for today. Go have amazing relationships. Share your heart. Take care of your heart. Breathe, surrender, and love. Right, Maya?
Right.
Peace, everybody. Bye.